Now, please join me in welcoming today's opening keynote, AC Eggleston Bracey, President at Unilever USA. AC will be interviewed by Kendra Bracken-Ferguson, Founder and CEO at BrainTrust.
Well, we are so excited to be the opening keynote at Grocery Shop 2023. Thank you all for coming. I am personally so excited for this conversation. I have been a fan, admirer, supporter of AC for years and years. And so AC, as we jump into this conversation about the power of brands and individuality, I like to take a step back because you truly are one of the few executives, leaders, innovators, really, of this day when you think about what's happening in the consumer space and retail. You're also leading a $5 billion plus global business unit at Unilever. So let's talk about what's been the defining moment of your career.
Well, first, just thank you for having me. I really appreciate the chance to connect with Grocery Shop and all of you here. But in terms of career, there's so many moments. I think about myself as an accidental executive. When I was younger, I didn't have a lot of role models to understand what a business career would look like. I was a math geek, and so I studied engineering, and I thought I would be a biomedical engineer and an MD, PhD in engineering, just to have something big to shoot for. But I ended up in this career, and it has been amazing. And there are a number of defining moments, I would say. When I first started in the consumer packaged goods industry, fresh out of school, I had the opportunity to create the brand Febreze. And it was really just listening to people that had needs for odors in their home that they had no solution for. And later, all these years, seeing that meeting those needs with the product, it's now over $1 billion brand. And that really solidified my philosophy that we'll probably talk more about, that when you find a deep need and you create a product and a solution for it, it is great for people and it is amazing for business. The couple others that I would say is having an opportunity to spend 8 years outside of the US. I did that while I was expecting my second child. And I went to Geneva, Switzerland, and I was a little apprehensive, having a child in a new country. And I'd always run global businesses, so I wasn't convinced I needed to live outside of the US to lead global businesses, but it was a game changer. It has also shaped the way I think about understanding people and meeting business needs, and then working with colleagues. And then probably the last one is seeing the impact that business can have on the community overall. And on behalf of Unilever and Dove, we champion an initiative that we call the Crown Act. And it is legislation to help end something called race-based hair discrimination. So a number of people that wear their hair like myself or even like Kendra's, there's rules in schools and in companies that say that you can't wear your hair like this, that it's against grooming policies. And that actually, we believe, is against civil rights laws. But that wasn't so clear. So Dove, in our championship of beauty inclusivity, have championed for legislation. And we have legislation passed in 23 states, creating a respectful open world for natural hair that makes it illegal. And so that's probably the third defining moment.
Yes.
And we won't stop until it's national that's illegal. Because you talk to most people and you say, what does how you wear your hair have to do with what your contribution is going to be in school, et cetera? So.
Well, AC, thank you for sharing that, because when you think about understanding individuality, understanding consumer needs, your vantage point of a lived experience globally, coming even from engineering, as you talk about that, I'm like, oh, how do you put the pieces together whenever you are a global brand and you have to figure out how to meet different consumer needs? And so I want to dive into that as well with Unilever. Global brand, thinking about what are the needs of consumers while also understanding product development, understanding that we are serving a different type of consumer than ever before. So what has been your approach to that in terms of powering the brands in your portfolio?
Yeah, I think that's really important. It is so dynamic today. We've just gone through a global pandemic. Society is more divisive than ever before. So you hear one need and then you see maybe an opposing need. So what you have to do is really look at the marketplace and macro and find the big emerging needs and then figure out how you meet those. And in that, I always talk about human centricity. It starts first, overall understanding what people need. And then as you look at making connections, where you see those big movements. And what we see in this spirit of being human centricity, people are most concerned with their well-being. We've been talking about that now for about 5 years, but we see wellness evolving, that people are defining the healthy, well lifestyles they want to live, and you're seeing differences in what people will go toward. An example of that when I talk about wellness is in our ice cream business. You could say, if you want to be healthy, why would you eat ice cream? Most people don't say that. They say, I want to eat healthy and with joy, but I have specific needs that I want to meet as I'm eating ice cream and having that joy. So we have a vegan range of ice creams. So we have Ben & Jerry's that has all sorts of vegan delights. You can have it almond milk, sunflower-based, oat-based. You know, my favorite is the Bananas Foster's because I'm actually non-dairy. So that kind of variety. But then we also have Intelente sorbettos, which if you don't want all that milkiness and you want more, so you see different ways to meet healthy. And then in Breyers, we have Carb Smart, because it's not about non-dairy, it's about being carb sensitive. So even with wellness, you see understanding the diversity of needs and making sure you meet that. The other place, when you think about needs that are evolving, is that gone is the one-size-fits-all. You know, what I was trained over 30 years ago when I started into marketing was you look for scalable needs only, and you try to meet that in the same way to attract as many people as possible. That world is changing. And why that's changing is the demographics in America and around the world are changing. And in that, attitudes are changing. So in those demographics today, we know 40% of America are people of color. We know 1 of 2 babies born are people of color. And we know those demographics that we have historically called multicultural, Hispanic, Black, Asian, are influencing the broader America. And there's this shift from multicultural, which is meeting those needs of the cohorts, to polycultural. As you meet those needs of the specific cohorts, you're meeting all needs. And so at Unilever, in terms of philosophy, we've established something called the Polycultural Center of Excellence, which helps us understand what those specific needs are that will project out and meet broader needs. And like Gen Z says, Gen Z is, don't put me in a box, right? I want my individuality expressed. I expect to go shop and not have to make something work for me. It should already work for me. So in short, human centricity, looking for these big trends but customizing them. And the 2 big ones we see are wellness and elevating individuality, a move from personalization to expressing individuality.
Well, and I think that it's so interesting because for so long, especially in the last 3 years, multicultural, diverse, underrepresented, and trying to understand as a brand, what does that really mean? And if we have the definition, Hispanic, African American, as you mentioned, how do we then create this through line of product development, of innovation? And I love how you talk about polycultural, because if we can have that mindset, then we would think that product development and innovation would follow. But it doesn't always happen that way. So how have you approached the innovation piece and product development, knowing that we're living in a polycultural society?
Yeah, that's super important. I go back to human centricity. You find what people need or desire, and then you find where there are gaps in the market today. And then that leads to innovation. And I could give examples of that.
Yes.
And I find when you crack those little needs, sometimes you think it's a small group of people that have a deep need. Time and time again, you see when you crack that, you tend to meet a need that is unexpressed of a broader group of people. And so I'm gonna give a range of examples. One, I wanna talk about Unilever's brand Shea Moisture. One of our most successful launches this year is our Scalp collection. Shea Moisture is designed for people with textured hair. And with textured hair, you often have a dryness to your scalp. The historical way to deal with dry scalp is to put oil on your scalp. Our scientists will tell you that is the worst thing you can do for dry scalp or even dandruff, because what it does, it just breeds bacteria, et cetera, things we don't like to talk about. And so Shea Moisture's Scalp Moisture Collection took that insight and then took the textured hairstyles of braids, et cetera, with the right tool to innovate. That has been a breakthrough success in the marketplace. But what we have found, while it's meeting the needs of textured hair consumers, there's so many people that don't have textured hair that have dry scalp needs. And so we see the success of this Shea Moisture Scalp because the technology cracked how not to use oil that breeds bacteria to create the moisturization, and the technology and the packaging to make sure it fits the needs of the styles, all the different braid styles that we're wearing that make it easy and feel good going on. And so we see a broad group of people using the product. The other example that I will give that I love is our food brand, Knorr. Unilever, we call it Knorr outside of the US, is the second largest brand. So it's in over 100 countries around the world and really deeply penetrated in Latin America. And so looking at Knorr, we recognize we were really lucky searching online, and we saw that a very popular person, Cardi B, was a Knorr user. And Cardi B is actually a perfect example of the Hispanic cohort. She identifies Afro-Latina. Her father is Dominican. Her mother is from Trinidad. So it's not a one-size-fits-all. What box can you put her in? But what we did is we customized flavors of Hispanic flavors of Latin America, Latina flavors, in a way that only uniquely Cardi B can. And we've had great business success, but I could probably show you better than I can tell you. So I have a clip here that I would like to show of Cardi B and our collection with Cardi B, and I'll tell you more about it after you watch the clip.
So good.
Listen, I may not be the best cook, but I am the GOAT. I'm making my favorite combo, Marry Me Chicken. You gon' love it. This is Knorr versus combo, y'all. First step, gotta have chicken, some pollito for the soul. Next is my secret ingredient, Knorr chicken flavor bouillon, flavor essential. Flour and boom, let that sizzle. Put the chicken in there. Yeah, that's right. One at a time, one at a time. Gonna add the tomatoes. Oh, snap, I'm scared. Garlic, tomato sauce, 1 cup of water. And once it starts getting a little bit thicker, put 1/4 cup of heavy cream. Some oregano, red pepper. Bring the chicken back and make it flip until it's cooked. Add spinach, toss it up. Woo! It's dripping in sauce. Put some Parmesan cheese, fresh basil. Now you know this is my Knorr versus combo meal. Now it's your turn to show me how you cook up your own Knorr taste combo. Pick a protein, Knorr product, and veggie. Stitch through it, whatever. Show me what you got. Hold on, y'all. Let the cook.
So that's polycultural, right? Because those Knorr taste combos, we did a meal kit and they sold out in less than 24 hours. And then Cardi B started posting this recipe for Marry Me Chicken, which I know all y'all want to try now, right? I want to go home and make that, but I will use coconut milk.
Yes, we are.
Right? Instead. But with that, she shared the recipe on TikTok with over 130 million followers that she has. So again, that's polycultural. It's the authentic insight that meets that cohort, but it is relevant well beyond, because we all are now going to make Marry Me Chicken.
We actually are. It's so interesting, too, because there is variances to how you can leverage individual personalities to tell a broader brand story. And even as you talk about that, you all did the research, you looked at the data, and you saw that Cardi B was an organic user. So many brands, as they're trying to figure out how do we match a personality with our brand, go from mass to niche, and it's hard. But what I love about that is that you all were able to really merge the two in an unexpected way. And so even when you think about product differentiation and the benefits that each of those products have, and then how you look at it from scale, from retail, being available, but then keeping to our theme of individuality, What does that intersection and convergence look like as you work?
Yeah, you said a lot, Kendra, a lot of really important points. One, to deliver individuality, you need to deliver authenticity. We know in the personal care business, about 60% of shoppers say they want a product that fits their unique needs, and they want that done in a way that is individual and authentic, and that's what Cardi B did. The challenge is, Unilever's North America portfolio is over $10 billion. We manage at scale. Managing at scale means you need to deliver cost, efficiency, and that's what drives you to want to do one size fits all. But the marketplace demands individuality. So we have to bridge those things that take us in opposite directions, to answer your question. So what we have to do, it's like cholesterol, good cholesterol, bad cholesterol. We have to strip out all the things that people do not care about, standardize our back office so that we can add in that complexity that they are demanding. And so where do people care most about offerings? It's in product assortment, but in product assortment, we can't sell 20,000 SKUs of Knorr on the shelf. You won't let us do that. So we find those emerging flavor profiles and then create recipes to customize them. And we do that through data. We work with you as retailers to identify and understand the data so that we can figure out the shopping behaviors, what else you're buying, to help us figure out what we can bring at scale but still deliver the individuality. We do that through data on how we customize our content. So we have groups now within Unilever, we call them our digital and media commerce hubs, that actually take all the data, look at the shopper insights and needs, and then try to customize the content. And of course, AI helps us with that, and increasingly so customize the content so that we can drive that conversion and match the right product with that individual. So it's the balance of you scale up by finding big buckets of needs, and then you customize by getting the data and the individualization. But that's an art. It's as much of an art as it is a science, and we're not fully there yet. We're learning every day how to do better and better and better as consumers are demanding, people are demanding more uniqueness and individuality, but our business demands more back office simplicity and scale. And in fact, your shelf at retail demand that as well.
Well, and it's really interesting because we talk about data only taking us so far. And so I like how there's the centers that are looking at the data, and then we still have to distill it into how does that then come to life in a beneficial way that's going to match consumer need, but also drive revenue, which at the end of the day, a lot of companies are trying to balance, we know what we need to do, or we know we want a vegan ice cream, a dairy-free, a gluten-free, but then how are you kind of matching this notion of business economics at the end of the day as you're looking at new strategies to innovate, leveraging the data?
Yeah, what we talk about at Unilever is often the core and the future core, or the core and the more. We get a lot of scale from our core. What do I mean by core? That is, Dove 20-ounce body wash. We sell a lot of it in a SKU called Deep Moisture. But we know that there are variety and increased needs. So we have a range of different flavors. Our cherry blossom and milk flavor is now off the charts. That is probably the best-selling scent that we've launched. It was one of the best sellers in the body wash aisle. So you're asking, how do we make a financial model work? We make it work by getting more out of our core. We've invested for decades in this core, and we find new ways to introduce our core. On Dove, we had a big innovation where we upgraded our core with the new bottle because we knew that people wanted to get more product out of that bottle, and then we upgraded it to make it even more moisturizing. We have these micro droplets that add individual moisture. You could say, how do you do that? By making the particle size smaller, we're able to make your skin feel softer and smoother with the technology. But we upgrade that, so we mine and get more out of the core. That helps make money for us because we're using assets we've already invested in. But then we overinvest in this future core so we can create new bespoke propositions that are more competitive in the market and meet more of the individual needs. So it's striking the balance between the core and the more. It's striking the balance of scaling up the back office and then individualizing and customizing where that need is. And we're still working on how we master that.
Well, AC, it's been fantastic talking to you and just learning as you've had so many experiences, as you've built and brought to market so many brands. And as we think about this notion of individuality, you've really crystallized. We need to think about the future. We need to think about how do you scale up, but then come back to the core consumer's needs. We've talked about this notion of polyculture as a way for us to really define the new consumer, and then drilling in with data. And so as we close out for everyone, what is your last parting word of advice around the power of brands and individuality?
My last advice is lean into people. Really don't start with an agenda, start with people. And I say people and not consumers, because when you identify the human need, you tap into the essence of what is going to be disruptive to drive the business. And in that, don't force the scale agenda. Figure out how to meet individual needs while meeting your business need through scale. So those are the two things I'd leave you with.
Well, AC, thank you so much. Let's all lean into the people. Have a great rest of your grocery shop. Thank you all so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.